Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news, discussion, and of course, a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's works and the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me, as always, is Ian.
Hey, I'm WeiryWriter.
Also joining me is Crocosaurus, aka David.
Or Windrunner on the forums.
Yeah, turns out you should drink water to hydrate yourself, but whatever, you don't want to do that.
I drink water all the time.
Except on the podcast.
Yeah, you're just doing it to annoy me. Also joining me is Evgeni.
And I wasted my joke about the Heralds last week.
Yep. We're coming in. Oh, and I'm Chaos. We're coming in hot after recording our episode on Oath Pact to talk about in-depth the Heralds. I mean, we talked a bit about the Heralds, but we're going to do a deep dive on the Heralds and all the things right now. And so why don't we talk about just kind of what Heralds are, what abilities they have?
Well, let's see what Google has to say about this.
No.
An official
I'm
messenger.
actually very curious to see what he's going to get.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Definition 1. An official messenger bringing news.
Okay.
2.
Right.
A person or thing viewed as a sign that something is about to happen.
Well,
Okay, all right.
That's crazy!
Whoa,
good word choice,
Brandon
Brandon.
knows words.
Right?
It's like that. Also,
Synonyms.
Oh, okay. All right.
Synonyms for that one.
Uh-huh.
Harbinger, which is a great word, by the way. I love
that.
it.
It is a great word.
Love that word.
Sign, indicator. Ah, yes, the indicators of the Almighty. Indication, signal, prelude, portent, and omen.
The omens of the Almighty. That does not sound good. But thank you, Google, for that. Thank you, Brandon, for knowing words. And also thank you, Brandon, for giving us expanded vocabulary, like introducing the word odium to us if you didn't know that.
Yes.
Like, yes. I was like, I know that word real good now. Okay, let's talk about the Heralds in the Stormlight Archive.
Oh,
Yeah.
goodbye, vocabcast.
yeah.
Okay, yes. Oh, we'll have a cast on something like that.
Pronunciation cast.
Yep.
Hell
So-
yeah.
Can we have Mish on for that, though? Because that'd be fun.
Absolutely. She's essential. If you've been listening to the podcast since November, you don't know that Mish, our co-founder, which if you go way back, you can hear us attempt to read Elantris. It didn't work out super great. Her pronunciation is awful, and it's great. So, Heralds, what do they have? They have honor blades. That's kind of a defining feature, but that's not the only thing they have.
Immortality.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Or pretty bad, if
Depending.
you think about it. It's like, didn't really quite work out super great.
Depending on how much in your life you're being tortured.
Yeah, it's not great. Oh, the finger spoilers, by the way, guys. Hey, And they had access to investiture to a degree that no Radiant could have, which makes sense.
Because they're plugged directly into honor.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Whereas Radiants need Stormlight from gems.
Yeah, so I guess wouldn't a Herald just with their honor blade just they wouldn't be nearly as limited as say Zeth, right? Not at all.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're
no.
pretty much
No.
like the Fused in that respect. Like,
Yeah.
The Fused get the Void Light directly from Odium, presumably.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're going to run out.
They always remind me more of like a Mistborn, right? With like in the way that they have a direct connection to.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
to
Yeah,
the shard.
yeah.
Obviously, with a Mistborn, you have like a reserve. Like if you run out of metal, your direct connection is gone. But as long as you have metal, you get this power.
I think of it kind of as the mist when they're fueled by the mist, like happens to Vin and Elend at various points.
Yep.
Like they're directly being fueled by the shard, and they don't
Sure.
need an external power source.
That's
Yep.
the exact point I was going to make. So thank you, David.
Yep.
Get wrecked.
But even without their honor blades, the Heralds are still They still have some things.
How much of what they actually have do we know that, like, obviously we see Talon at the end of Words of Radiance.
Catch that poison dart.
Like super quickly snatch, like grab that. Like and he's done this a couple of times and he's built like a barge. But Brandon has been asked a couple of times about whether the Heralds have any abilities if you take their honor blades away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like the dominant answer in one form or another is they, like, if they have abilities, they are not surge binding.
It's they might have passive abilities like enhanced strength, enhanced reflexes, but they can't. I'm going to fly. Like they don't have like these active magic systems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would say too that I think that we also don't understand like the upper limit of what the honor blades are capable of, based on Dalinar talking to the Stormfather and Oathbringer when he says that wielding an honor blade makes you like a Windrunner on Oath and more that men cannot understand. Like I think there's more that they can do that people don't know that they can do because they don't know that they can do it when they're using an honor blade.
Say, for example, are you thinking that Jezrien may have been able to like do more than just the basic lashings, or not the basic but the lashings?
I think there might be more powers that they have that we don't know. And it's just like, when you have a metal mine, you don't know it's a metal mine. You can't tap it until you realize that you have that ability.
Yeah.
Do you think some of their like passive physical abilities, like with Talon, is somewhat a function of them using Honor's investiture so much? And obviously Honor's investiture has changed them, but I'm kind of trying to like connect it to savantism in a way.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I would say it has more to do with them being cognitive shadows.
Sure.
And that bringing up savantism is an interesting choice. It is an interesting idea, rather, because I don't know if cognitive shadows can be savants. Because it's like, because savant, it's like your soul is getting changed by using this power so much, like, but they are literally our investiture. So it's like they are like so far beyond what a savant would be.
And it's an impact on the body that develops normally,
That's
isn't
true.
it? And they don't keep their bodies. So anything that might accumulate, like,
no,
that's another discussion.
We are absolutely going to talk about the Herald body issue.
But
that makes
the
it sound very
soulcasters,
weird.
like, their bodies are like people who are savants have changes to their bodies that can happen sometimes. And if you're replacing your body regularly in some way, potentially.
Yeah, but it's like you're changing your soul, which is having an effect on your body.
Yes.
So it's like if you're getting a new body, like your soul
it should still
override.
change. Yeah.
Let's delay that talk about the Herald body issue, because that's not exactly intro material. That's very wonky in a way. In all the words, in all the way, all the definition of the word wonk. And there's one other quality of the Heralds that's pretty important, because they've been tortured on damnation so much, but they are all insane.
In maybe different ways.
Yep.
Definitely different ways, actually.
So CCQ asked, I just read Edge Dancer. I was just wondering, did Ishar deceive Nalan on purpose, or was he just wrong? He had wrong information. Brandon, all the Heralds are insane. CCQ, okay. Brandon, it manifests in different ways. Do not trust anything any Herald says, ever. CCQ, okay. Brandon, Nale trusts Ishar too much. CCQ, but so did he do it on purpose, or Brandon? So on purpose is a difficult thing when you're referring to someone with the psychology that Ishar has. CCQ, did he know what it was, that it was a lie? Brennan, sigh. All right, I'll raffle that until I get to him, but the answer is kind of a yes and a no. Okay, so there's a part of him that knows, and there's a part of him that doesn't want to believe it. And yet the things he's been doing lately in Roshar are done because he knows what's coming.
Yeah.
So insane. That's from Arcanum Unbounded tour, by the way.
It doesn't get much more explicit as don't trust anything any Herald says ever. Like, okay. Great.
I think that's more along the lines of like, don't trust anyone pierced by metal. It's like, yes, there's a chance that like they might be legit. Like a Herald can tell the truth, but you don't know whether what they're saying is true or just craziness.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And they've reincarnated many a time. You can check out our Oathpact podcast about it. And all the torture has made them crazy.
Not only the torture, but I suspect much like the Fused who get more and more insane every time they come back to Roshar, the Herald, like, coming back to life, acquiring a body, might be doing funky things to your mind.
See, I don't know if I agree with that. I think most of their madness came post Oathpact breaking.
That I don't agree with.
No, that I strongly agree with.
Well,
I think that they were well on their way when they decided to break the Oathpact, because like if they were in their right minds, they probably wouldn't do that, because it's like, no, I have to do this thing. But living for 4,500 years with the knowledge that like I broke this sacred oath at any moment, Talon could break and plunge this entire world into war. That has a weight on your psyche that is not healthy.
So, question to all. Do you guys think the Herald's madness is natural psychological effect of them just doing something they know is wrong and things like that? Or do you think there's a magical component to it?
I fully believe there's a magical component to it, and it is in some way attached to them breaking the Oathpact.
If you read the prelude again, though, Kalak is not doing great.
No, they're not doing great, but I think that they're really specific madness with like Shalash turning against beauty and art and destroying representations of herself is so specific and targeted that I think that there's a magical component, especially when we've got someone who we believe to be a Herald going, we're getting worse, we're not supposed to be getting worse, what's going on? You know?
So I see it that like they are cognitive shadows. Pretty much anything going on with them is magical.
Well, yeah,
by like definition. So it's like, yes, there's a magical component, but it's also a normal psychological component. Like it's not a simple either or.
That's entirely possible.
So with the thing with Shalash that you brought up, David.
Yeah.
The theory I subscribe to, and one that I think is just widely accepted, is that kind of the main reason the Heralds are insane in very specific ways that seem to be tied to their divine attributes is because of their nature as cognitive shadows. So because they are essentially cognitive entities, much like Spren are, over several millennia of people believing in them in certain ways, believing that Shalash is whatever the hell her divine attributes are.
Creative and honest.
Sure.
Honest is a weird one, but...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, whatever. But over millennia of people imparting that belief on them, they change in a way similar to how Spren change based on people's perceptions.
That's interesting.
And I had a theory about this just before Oathbringer, where I tried to guess, well, okay, so we know some of the Heralds. We know where Talon is, we know where Nalan is, we know Shalash, we got a confirmation that Bylaya is in... in
the Millennium.
Yeah, Gerbran. I kept trying to say Taravangian. I'm like, Taravangian is not a name of a city.
Which Taravangian.
Yeah. We don't have a picture for that because that's from a signed book. So it's like
my point was that I was trying to predict where the others would be based on, well, this Herald has these divine attributes. They can, based on people's belief, either be exaggerated in some way or they can be twisted in something similar to them.
Mhm.
And what I had for Ishar, although that was after the preview chapter that included, the message from God
Tesm.
King
Mhm.
Tesm, yeah. But he's pious and guiding, and then I was making the argument. Well, who is more pious than like, because he's not a god, like he's a priest, like head priest,
Mhm.
king type of thing.
Yeah.
And guiding obviously falls into leadership, right? So
Mhm.
I think there's a very good argument to be made that yes, the heralds are insane, but they're also insane in ways that fall within their divine attributes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think the other way you could look at that too is like Ishar is flipped on his thing, and instead of being pious, he's declared himself to be a god.
Yeah.
Another way
yeah.
to view it. But yeah.
And it's because I think those are their divine attributes because that's part of who they were as people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
Mhm.
it makes sense that like if they go crazy, like that has an effect on their insanity.
Yeah,
Because it's like Slash is all about like creativity and beauty, and so it doesn't make sense for her insanity to be about I am a goddess. Well, I guess that could be like that.
but the heralds the heralds are much more than like the heralds as people are much more than just like two attributes.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
and all of the
yes.
heralds that we've seen go insane very specifically along their divine attributes.
Mhm. Well, it's because like those are the attributes, like those are why they're a herald. I
I would say those are their dominant
Mm.
personality characteristics, probably. Like
Yeah.
not their only part, but like if you were to say like, oh, what's Jezrien like? You're gonna say,
He's a
oh,
leader.
he's protecting. He's a leader. Yeah.
I
Like
mean,
yeah.
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 I think that's
and
super
that's tied
reductionist.
into the magic that
Well-
makes of like everything. So like
I mean, it is reductionist, but at the same time, like, Towns says, "Oh, and Jezrien will teach you leadership." Like that, they had some functions that were pretty particular.
That we're tied to that.
And,
yeah.
and Kalak is gonna teach him to cast bronze. That's not a
Well, yeah,
Like-
but I'm just
No.
saying.
Kalak is a resourceful and builder.
Hey,
He's building them weapons.
yeah. How about we talk about each herald? How about we
Sounds
just
good.
grind through each herald so that people who forgotten these things, like there's a few prominent heralds, but let's go through as much as we know. Let's start with Nalanilin, or Nail, as he's known.
Nale.
No, no one calls him that.
One person does.
Oh, so I'm a no one, am I?
yes, you are.
You're a cognitive shadow, actually.
The Herald of Justice.
So when have we seen Nail, guys?
Once or twice.
When
Oh,
he killed
twice.
Beam and
Oh.
then tried to kill Lift
Didn't we see
and
him
then
before
tried
then?
to kill Lift again.
He
When
was in
he
the
killed Gax.
prologue.
He was in the prologue.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was.
Wasn't he with another
Yeah.
herald too in the prologue?
He was with probably Kalak.
Yes.
So the story behind that, because this is not it's a little bit obscure, is that there's an Azish man that shows up at Gavilar's feast, the one where Gavilar dies, and he's described as having a crescent shaped, like a scar or a birthmark on his cheek.
Yeah.
Well, later on, we find out that this is actually Nalan.
Yep.
In the prologue, he shows up with another person, like a mousy, skittish
an
looking,
Alethi
behaving
looking
guy.
man.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, an Alethi looking man. Whose most kind of interesting things that he says is that he's worried that they, whoever they are getting worse.
Okay.
And they were not
I
supposed
actually
to
think
get-
this is getting ahead of ourselves because this is
Yeah.
talking about Kalak.
About Kalak, yeah.
Milan.
Well,
Okay, sure.
So it's like,
we can
I
talk
would
about
save
Kalak
that
later.
for when we're talking about Kalak.
Sure,
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But Nalan shows up in the prologue,
Yep.
speaking
Yeah.
with another man.
And speaks to El Hokar at the feast where Gavilar is assassinated.
Mhm.
Yep.
For reasons unknown.
That's
yes.
true.
And
That is
we
true.
actually get a fair amount of him in Oathbringer.
Yes, we do.
And the Edge Dancer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we
Do we want to summarize what Nalan's been up to? Or
Why don't you go do that, David? Why don't you do that?
So since Nalan betrayed honor and quit the Oath Pact, he has at some point returned to get his honor blade again, and now holds that, and has also bonded a regular Skybreaker's friend, so he's Skybreaker squared or whatever, but has been going around killing Proto-Radiants because he believes that they in some way could trigger a desolation. He does this up until...
Killing or recruiting.
Or recruiting. My
That's
apologies.
true.
If he thinks that they can, he somehow manages to bond them to a Skybreaker spread instead of whatever spread they were about to bond. I don't know how that works.
Well, it's like, I think that like if they're suitable Skybreakers, like
Probably, yeah.
it's
If it
like
would
if
work.
they're proto Skybreakers, basically.
Maybe that's just as simple as that. But either way, he recruits them to his order because it's the only safe order for whatever reason. Up until the point where he is convinced by Lift, with the Everstorm bearing down and singers with red eyes glowing, that the desolation is here. He resurrects Seth and basically convinces the whole Skybreaker order that since the singers are the law of the land, they are going to arbitrarily switch sides to Odium for no good reason.
Which, okay, so David's a little biased, listeners. He
In case you
has
didn't pick
never,
up on that.
he's never liked that switch at the end of it.
He's a human and therefore biased against the singers.
Indeed.
That's right.
Yes, but that's more or less, and at the end it's told Seth that he will train him in the other surge of the Skybreakers, which is deficient. So.
Which, again, is crazy that he's just going to be like, hey, Fused, Anodium, what's up? Like, it's crazy.
Right. He's kind of ultimately the chill. I don't care for emotion. Chill in the okay.
He's very cold and unemotional.
No,
Yeah.
in some ways he's got no chill, but in other ways he's got all the chill.
I would not want to chill with Nail.
I think in part this is tied into his insanity.
Yes.
Which is the letter of the law.
Mm-hmm.
But although I still my problem with it is ultimately that I feel like if he really thought that the singers had the right to the land, he should have been trying to prevent the desolations for the last 2,000 years. You know? Now that they're back, that doesn't change who's had the rights, but
Well, it's
one
because
man's
it's
opinion.
like they are here now. It's like he had to reassess everything.
But they've been
and
there
so-
all along. You know, like there had been conscious singers all along in the world.
Yeah.
We're kind of diverting to why I hate that, but it's okay.
But like, did he know that the Parshendi were there?
Yeah, because he saw them when he resurrected Seth and like referenced like the pocket of Void Sprend that got involved with them.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a big enough thing for him to reassess things. Because like he thought this is an isolated incident. Like this isn't important.
I guess I will accept that Nale is mad and he does not follow my rules for what
Yes.
makes sense. But
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Along with Nail, I really like this line from Edge Dancer. It's probably one of my favorite lines. Where Nail's approaching Lift. And this is right at the end. You're right. It seems I've finally released myself from the last vestiges of guilt I once felt at doing my duty. Honor has suffused me, changed me. It has been a long time coming. And I was like, being a herald that's not great.
Yeah. Is that also going into like, oh, I have no emotions anymore? Like emotions are of the enemy.
That was in response to Lift asking if he even felt anything anymore.
Yep.
Yeah. But like the whole thing, like that's Odium's whole thing. Like, yes, he is emotion incarnate, but he's also like, give me all of your emotions so you're just an empty vessel for my will.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's
well, I don't know if
interesting.
it's an interesting parallel. I don't know if Nale has done that at that point, probably. But
I think it's an intentional parallel on Brandon's part.
oh, for sure, that could totally be the case.
Yeah.
At least like thematic.
It's like, this is not what honor is about. That's what Odium is about.
Good call.
So it makes sense that he switches to Odium's side at that point. Because his thinking is so warped by his insanity that he thinks like, oh, this is the honorable thing, when it's like not at all what honor would want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's definitely not sane.
He's in ways similar to people who have given Odium their pain, such as Moash, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the next herald, Chana, who would be the patron of the Dustbringers.
Yes. Full name Chanarach.
Yes.
Or Chana Rana Ranarach if you're foreign.
if you're Vorin.
Yeah.
If
Who
you
we
like
know
symmetry.
very little about.
She raised Fleet in a story that might have been made up on the spot.
Yeah, she's mentioned there.
Yeah, she has the divine attributes of brave and obedient, and is the
Interesting.
guard. So
And is what? Sorry.
the guard. That's like her title.
Oh,
Huh.
I've never even seen that. Interesting.
Huh.
Where is
That
that
is
from?
interesting.
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
In Fleet's story, Fleet races her. So there's some association between, Chana and like
Mm-hmm.
physicality, speed, things like that maybe.
That might be her, because I believe that Surge the Deathbringers has one of them is friction, whatever, abrasion, whatever it's
Abrasion.
called. So
Abrasion
that probably
division.
does help her be faster, kind of like Lift is
Sure.
in a raise.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Makes sense.
But she's one of the very few heralds where we don't have an inkling of where they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is true.
In that theory, where like I mentioned before, where I looked at all the heralds, just going off her divine attributes as brave and obedient, I thought she might be I thought those attributes fit the role of like a guard or a bodyguard or a protector of some kind of like that kind of role, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Somebody who is obedient to a fault and brave to a fault, and you just go sick him, and she
Sure.
goes after people.
I could almost see it as the reverse. Like she's an assassin who, like, instead of guarding people, like she kills people, like who should be guarded.
Oh, like an
Um,
assassin. Hmm.
Yeah. But I genuinely have no clue where she is.
Liz. No, I don't believe that.
Oh, quick, sorry, interruption. Question that I just saw. Oh, anyway, Wetlander, speaking of other prologues, I have a loony theory that the assassin Liz is actually the Herald Chana in disguise.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Peter, Chana Ranach has definitely been seen on screen by at least one character at least one time in the first 2 books.
Yeah,
So she's there.
I was looking for that actually.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that and was just joking about Liz, but there you go. Great. This is
Yeah.
asked.
Mhm.
Liz is not a bad candidate, I think. Like she's definitely like
She's
weird enough.
She is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
It would if she is Chana, it would mean that she actually has a regular shard blade, and she hasn't
Yes.
gone back for her honor blade.
True.
Mhm.
Oh, that is weird. Yeah.
Well,
Well, she could just get a spread
Get one.
blade. Yeah, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
Or
Especially-
just
yeah.
like a blade.
Or yeah,
right?
sorry, I
Mhm.
meant a dead
Mhm.
shard blade. Yeah. Yeah, not a living blade.
yeah, like Shalash mentions, like, oh, like it wouldn't be that hard to get a
Yeah.
blade.
Yeah.
So,
That's right, she does say that.
Mhm.
How about we go to Vettel?
yes, who is illustrated in one of the end pages for Oathbringer.
Yeah.
True.
And she's awesome
with her
looking.
with her golden keys, whatever
Being
those
silver.
reference.
Yep.
I know, right?
Yeah, one of the references that we have of her is by
Vettel
Vedledev's Golden Keys.
Yeah.
So she was the patron of the Edge Dancers.
Yep.
And her divine attributes were loving and
Loving and healing.
loving and healing. Okay.
Hmm.
Well, that
Which
does make
also
sense for Edge
fits.
Dancers.
Yeah. Lift is very caring for people who may have been forgotten.
Yep.
Vettel was also the one who would, after a desolation or before a desolation, train humankind's surgeons,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
which also fits. Like she's got these, she has a glove on her safe hand in that depiction, but it's almost like it's a very, it doesn't look like a latex glove, right? But it looks like something a surgeon might wear. Very
Mm.
white,
I think
very
that's
sterile.
more like this is a Vorin artist, so he can't.
Well, yeah, but they can give her any kind of glove, and
True.
her with like this very white and light outfit. I could see a surgeon.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's kind of
Wearing
holding
Like those pincers too. I'm looking at
Yeah.
that. Is that a surgical tool or is that like a math? Is that a compass?
I
can't
think
tell.
that's a compass.
huh.
Eric, you're the math guy.
It does look more like you can't really pinch anything with those, right?
If it was a compass,
Yeah.
you would put a pencil on one end, and so it's
That's
Well,
true
yeah.
too. Yeah.
like, oh
Yeah.
yes, my compass with 2 metal
With 2
points.
Yeah.
Okay, then it's a caliper. Like,
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Another interesting Vettel factoid. She's in a lot of, you know how the Herald's faces change in the arches. She appears in a lot of Kaladin's surgeon-y ones, which is kind of cool since she is
yeah.
the patron of surgeons.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. So makes sense. But we don't have any idea for where she is.
Yeah,
Correct.
she and Chana are probably like the ones that I think we have the least trail on.
Yeah, I think so. Right. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay, then we have Palia?
I have no idea.
That would actually be Pylaya.
Palia.
I say
okay.
I say Poly. It's like
Yeah,
the abbreviation.
There was
Yeah.
Pally, great. There was some issue with the spelling of that.
Her
That
name. Yeah.
was-
For
I kinda
years,
forget.
we thought it was Pylaya, and
Mhm.
they're like, "Well, that doesn't. There's no symmetry." Yeah, because there's missing an eye there.
Yeah, I think Peter actually posted on like the Coppermine. He's like, "You got her name spelled wrong, guys."
Yeah.
Which is funny.
And
but like the missing an eye was not a thing we necessarily could have picked up because their original names are not symmetrical.
Oh, yeah.
right, yeah, exactly. And she's the patron of Truth Watchers. And won't surprise you to hear her divine attributes are learned and giving, which is like, that.
Which is why she is the namesake for the Palineum.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
And she is actually in the Palineum, which again
Yep.
is pretty crazy.
If you don't know, there's a scene back in The Way of Kings where Shallan is in the
I
Palineum,
don't
and
think that's confirmed.
well,
It's like we know she's in the Palineum. Like we don't
let's-
know who she is.
No, it said the old Argent is
Yeah.
what they
Oh,
said
does it?
specifically. Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
So, but let's go find the word of Brendan.
I've got it right here, but it's just kind of like it's all paraphrased. Just someone who said the inside
Oh,
cover
yeah.
of their Band of Mourning
Yeah.
Yeah.
says that it was her.
Okay. Well,
Without any photos, that's our like little maybe that's not
Asterisk.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I don't know why someone would misreport something like that. So
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty specific. Great. Well, that's what we got there.
yeah,
Now-
although I will say just one last thing before I move on. I kind of have like at least a tiny bit of wondering if maybe Brandon had not decided if it was Polly or if it was Batar who was in the Palladium, because we've also got Taravangian, as we're going to see here in a minute, saying that Batar is in the Palladium. And I'm like, how many heralds are hanging out in the Palladium? You know?
Yeah.
it's a good
That-
spot
that
to
is
hang
what-
out.
That's what makes me a little uncertain.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
well-
would mention it now because we're still talking, because it relates to her too.
Yeah. Great. Shalash. Here's one where we've seen quite a bit of her. We saw her in book 1.
We do.
Axel's
Smashing
mistress.
that art. Yeah.
Axel's mistress.
Her specific flavor of insanity compels her to destroy depictions and images of her and related to her and associated with her. And if you reread the prologue of The Way of Kings, there's actually a missing statue of Shalash there, and we have a confirmation that she went there and smashed it.
Yeah, there's a lot of places where it's like, why is one of these Herald statues gone or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
even in Tashik, in Edge Dancer, like it's like why would one of the their left mentions like why would someone scratch out one of the faces of the heralds?
She gets around Rashar smashing that art.
Yeah.
And,
Without an
and
Oathgate too.
that's how she kind of gets captured in Oathbringer.
Mhm.
Because that beautiful, beautiful painting that we have on the end pages of, or so I assume, of
Mhm.
Oathbringer is actually the very same painting that Mraize uses to draw her out and have a chat with her.
Yeah.
Which, good call on his part. Like, I'm curious how Mraize realized that was going to get her, or like what information he had to.
Well, he didn't know for sure. Like, he had an inkling that like she goes around like destroying depictions of herself. He didn't know like that specific painting would get her.
I know, but it's like I'm interested to know how he figured out how to bait the trap with art, like what his source of information was.
He knows a lot of stuff.
I'm just saying, like, I know that he does, but
like he's in an organization that is very much in the know. Like,
Yeah.
I assume the Ghostbloods would keep an eye on like potential heralds.
I was just saying that I feel like she of them is one of the ones that is a little more incognito. Like, they kept an eye on Nalan, but he's flying around killing people, you know?
Well,
So that wasn't too hard to track him.
She's not exactly low profile. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she doesn't reveal her identity or anything, but she is going around Roshar doing stuff.
But like, I'm saying, contrasting that with Tezem, who's declared himself king of an entire nation and is waging war on another kingdom.
okay. Well, yeah.
The opposite of subtle.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I am a herald of the Almighty.
Yeah. And so in Oathbringer, she goes to destroy the painting, and Mraize says that he knows where Talon is, and obviously she's very interested in that.
Because she loves Tom.
That's what it
Just
is.
like everyone else.
Is that the impression we all got? Though
Yeah.
that they had a relationship?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely read like intimate to me.
We don't have a solid confirmation of that, though, don't we? I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
No.
But when she was talking about his hands, that kind of
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah,
okay, this
it's
feels
like,
a little.
yes, yeah. They've. I mean, look. Talon, I'm in. You picked a good one, Ash.
I'm gonna let him down.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
But he's so
that
good. He
probably
doesn't
didn't
care.
help her sanity. If
Oh,
she
I'm
was
sure
in her
not.
life. Like that would be. Yeah, we abandoned you. The whole.
Oh, she must
Yeah.
have felt like.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't exactly feel sorry for her, but man, that must
No.
have sucked for her.
Well, yeah, like the best line at the end of Oathbringer. Just why don't you hate us?
Yeah,
It's just,
she is Jezrien's daughter. Another interesting
Yes, that's
factoid.
right.
The only
Yes. Almost forgot about that.
We've
yeah.
known this for so long. We almost forget
I know
to talk about it sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes
that was a
that's
good call early on by
Yes.
people who picked that out.
Yeah.
How did
There
they pick
is
that out?
a death rattle that it's like the daughter of storms and kings.
Daughter
It's like,
of winds and kings.
daughter of
The
winds
Vandal.
and kings. The Vandal.
The Vandal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were all like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, okay, yeah,
Mhm.
that's right. This is like just thinking about that. Like, where did you get that? Death rattle. Great, got it.
She is also a flashback / viewpoint character in the back 5
Yes,
of Stormlight. Something to look forward to.
yes, and at the end of Oathbringer, she passed out, just like
And gets picked up by Yasna, which
Passed
is I think,
out for
setting
the
up.
first time in 4,500 years.
yes.
Do they sleep?
I don't think so.
Ooh.
Which
sucks.
that's also not healthy for a human person.
Yeah,
Maybe they sleep. I don't know. It's not.
I don't
clear.
know. Yeah, I don't think it's confirmed, but it was just my thought was, do they sleep when I read that line? So
Yeah.
Yeah, the impression I got was that they do not.
I mean, I guess it reads like they don't. It's just, I guess that's also something I've never thought about. Like that line was not that striking to me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anything else on Ash?
I guess, does anyone have any ideas about where we're going to see her in book 4 since she's like actively going to be, like, is Yasna going to kill her first scene of book 4?
I
Send her
don't
back
think
to
so.
damnation? Yeah.
Because it book 4 picks up a year after, and
Mhm.
that timing just
Which is so weird to me still.
why
But
then?
yeah.
I feel like there's like a lot of things that like immediately I'm like, oh, what's going to happen next? Then it's just going to be,
Like immediately
year,
tomorrow.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like she's going to be in prison not wanting to talk.
I'm assuming that'll probably be what has happened for the previous year.
Mhm.
That wouldn't surprise me.
And probably taking care of Tall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's fair.
I don't know if we can even begin to speculate what her big arc would be in the
No, I was just curious.
back
Like,
five.
I wonder if Yasna will even tell anyone that she picked them up, at least initially. If she can't make it work.
I think
feel like-
she will.
Mhm.
My impression from that scene, that meeting where she proposed that they kill some heralds, my impression was that she had kind of changed her mind. Well, not necessarily changed her mind, but decided not to go with that plan
Immediately.
until they've exhausted all other options.
And that kind of goes with Yasna's arc in part 5 of Oathbringer. Like, hey, Renarin is suspicious, but I'm not going to kill him.
Don't be
As
so
maybe I
ruthless
should,
a little
you
bit.
know,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Like that kind of
Yep.
fits with that perspective of Yasna,
Absolutely.
She is pretty callous sometimes. Yeah.
Well, that's certainly true, but I
That's,
think Yasna
that's
has a
how my
lot
bay
more.
rolls.
Yasna has a lot more growing to do, really.
Mhm.
And she's Book 10's character, right?
At least for
It's-
now, yeah.
For now.
Well, he has
Really?
not nailed down the order of
Mm,
flashbacks.
okay.
He has definitely referenced her, like, in the current way, or the most recent, like, update we've had on his thinking about it was, though, that Yasna was either 8 or 10, I think.
Yeah.
So we're a ways away.
But I mean, like, even book 3 changed as recently as like a couple of years
Exactly.
before
Well, that's
the
true.
release. So
Certainly.
Until
I
it's
wouldn't-
written, we don't know.
Certainly.
It's still valid information, though.
Yep. Shall we move on to next Herald?
Yep.
Let's go.
Batar.
Batar.
Herald of Yasna's order. Funnily
Hey, there
enough.
you go.
Like wise and careful,
hmm
who is potentially working for Teravangian.
Mm-hmm. As the ardent Dova, if we trust him. Oh, that's a big lie to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
have a
like,
Herald.
I
in the-
am
yeah.
incredibly skeptical of anything he says.
Well, yes. I mean,
The only thing,
yes.
though, is... But they've got a year, though, and if he's like, oh, I have a Herald, too, will Dalinar not next thing be like, well, we have 2 Heralds. I would like
Well,
to talk to your Herald, and then he's like, oh, here's this old Ardent who's not really a Herald, and then Dalinar's like, you're lying to me again, man. Yeah.
No, Teravangian says, like, we think she's a Herald.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not like she said, like, oh, yeah, I'm Batar. Which...
Yeah.
This could just
true,
be Teravangian, like, muddying the water so, like, they don't figure out what he's actually got going on.
Mm-hmm. I just feel
'Cause
like
he
they will
hasn't told-
ascertain pretty quickly whether or not she is a Herald or she is not, if she's confronted about it.
Yeah. But it's like, he just wants to, because he hasn't told them about the diagram or like, yo, I'm murdering people in my literal death
Well, that's
factory
true.
to
The
get death
hospital.
Or his
vessels.
agreement with Odium. Yeah, he's got a lot up his sleeve.
Yeah, so
I found the line where Teravangian says this, and Dalinar is asking, oh, you didn't become the king of Yakaved by accident. How? And then Teravangian says, there's a woman at Carbranth, he said. She goes by the name of Dova, but we think she is Bata Elin, a herald. She told us the desolation was approaching. He looked to Dalinar. I had nothing to do with the death of your brother, but once I heard of what incredible things the assassin did, I sought him out. Years later, I located him and gave him specific instructions. But it's kind of crazy that a herald or maybe a herald, led on that
Mhm.
path.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to believe that she's her.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a possibility.
Yeah. The only, like, I would not trust Teravangian under any circumstances normally, but he's, like, revealing a big, like, thing that he's done that he's kept hidden from Dalinar, and to seed another easily disprovable lie into that seems unwise to me.
But it's like not necessarily like reflect poorly on him because he's not saying like this is a herald. It's like we think she's a herald. That's putting in like a doubt there. So it's like if it's like, oh, she's not actually a herald, it's like, okay, I was wrong. Like,
I guess, but like he's putting like he's saying I've got a high level of confidence because I went and got an assassin and killed all the world leaders based on me thinking this woman knows what's going on,
And knowing
you know?
that a desolation was
And
approaching.
then so at the very least he's gonna look like an idiot if it's not true. You know what I mean? Best case scenario, worst case scenario, he's gonna look like he's lying to them,
Mhm.
which seems like not a good thing for a man who's concealing even more secrets.
It's like, I would not be surprised if, she is Batar. I also would not be surprised if, he's lying through his teeth.
The world may never know until book 4.
Yeah.
Well, I'm inclined to believe it just purely from a writing reason that it's like, hey, we got 10 heralds. There's a lot of crap going on. So, yeah, some things are what you expect it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Any last thoughts on Batar?
I don't think so.
All right, Kalak, our viewpoint from the prelude.
Yep, and there is a very, very common theory that Kalak is Nalan's associate in the prologue.
Yes.
Of Way of Kings, well, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
That he was with Nalan during the events of Gavlar's assassination.
I would say that is such a... That theory would be very hard to find another reasonable explanation for who that man is that is not Kalak.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd say that short of Brennan saying that this is true, this is about the highest level of confirmation I think we could get on our own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If that's not Kalak, I would be flabbergasted.
And incredibly confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are even the other options?
They're not.
There are no other options.
He's Ishar, but not in Tashik yet.
Yeah,
or not Tashik, but Tukar.
No, he doesn't read like Ishar would at all.
I don't think he does either. Yeah. But I'm just saying that the only weird possible backdoor is that he's the only other male herald we don't know where is in that scene.
Or Chanarach just looks particularly masculine.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Like an Alethi man.
And yet Jezrien was at the feast too, right?
Yeah, he was drunk there.
Yeah, right. Man,
but we know his identity.
Yeah, the heralds were.
There was a lot of people there. I feel like, having just written the article on Fortune, I feel like there might be some fortune going along. Hey, we're suddenly the 3 of us are here. That's crazy. I wonder what's going to happen here.
And Slash was there pretty close to then, because she got rid of she defaced the statue.
Yep.
And they hadn't had time to replace it.
Yeah. That's right.
So if we go along these lines, Ishar may have been there because that's a big event for the Alethi, and they may have invited people from around the world, especially leaders.
Oh, I don't know. Do we know when Tezem rose to control Tukar at all?
I don't think we have any clue.
I don't remember. How long has that war been going on?
It's been 6 years, which is an oddly common number of years we start hearing about when things start happening.
Everything happened 6 years ago.
Yeah,
I guess that's true. Huh.
Obviously,
yeah.
Batar may have been there, Pally may have been there, Vettel may have been there. We don't know about those.
Although at a certain point, we start questioning how they all ended up being there. What was the
Fortune?
If
they used Fortune?
Sure.
Or
why not?
They may have.
I don't know. I don't like to use say Fortune wave hands without having.
I don't know. There are magical reasons in the Cosmere why people would coincidentally, but not coincidentally, be at a place, and even I don't want to get off task with Fortune, but the people in the know who know about Fortune often attribute coincidences. They're like, that's not a coincidence. That was Fortune. So.
I guess I think of it more as people drawing upon Fortune intentionally to make something happen or find out.
Well, we don't know the mechanics of that, but I'm just saying, there are magical reasons in the Cosmere why suddenly, randomly, there are lots of heralds in a place that is of importance, right?
If Chana is Liz, she was also there.
I guess it's true. I guess it's true.
Yeah,
that is true. Man, I need to reread that to see if she feels heraldy, but.
Yeah, and the other thing about that man who we assume is Kalak wasn't one of his attributes determination, Ian? For the Well Shapers?
Resolute, maybe?
Resolute Builder. That's it.
Oh, yeah,
Resolute and Builder, yep.
Yeah.
I think I said resourceful earlier, which, no.
Mm-hmm. But I think...
Builder.
He just seems so wishy-washy that it feels like an instance of this madness where he's gone from being resolute to being... Oh, I don't know. What do we do? What do we...
True.
True.
Yeah, it also feels very consistent with the Kalak we saw in the prelude.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Very unsure of himself. It's
absolutely.
And if the icons are anything to go by, he might be one of the younger ones too. Like if that's based at all, if that legend's based at all in any sort of fact, he looks like the youngest.
He does look like a kid.
Yeah. That is odd. Interesting.
Mhm. What is interesting about him, if if Nail's companion is in fact Kalak, is that he says that the assassin in white carries his lord's own blade, which would, I guess, make Kalak a subject to Jezrien back in the day.
Jezrien was called the King of Heralds, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could be like, this is Jezrien's blade, like Jezrien was the leader of the Heralds. Like, he was the king of the Heralds.
Yeah.
Or it could be, this is Honor's blade. My lord is Honor, which I don't find that
Which feels a
particularly
little more
compelling,
tenuous, but
like,
yeah.
it was an
Yeah.
alternative.
I feel like there's a reason why Jezrien's called the King of Heralds, right? Like,
Yeah.
My take on that was that back during the days when Jezrien was just a king, before he became a herald, Kalak may have been a servant. Well, not a servant, but like a general maybe, or a noble.
Someone in that kingdom.
Although, if that was true, I feel like it might have come across in his initial POV when he's talking with Jezrien. Like it might have.
That's true.
I thought that's something that would have popped up, but you never know.
Yeah.
They look, they were just fighting in the last desolation.
It does reference specifically that it had been, like, he thinks about how it had been centuries since Jezrien wore a crown. So, like, it's possible that's in his head. But, yeah.
Yeah, but it's pretty common, Jezrien leadership. Anyway, well, we're going in order. Town.
Well, what a guy.
Telenel, Telenelat Elin.
I think we said it before, but you can't read Oathbringer and not be like, Town is the best human in the Cosmere. Hands down, easily number one best person.
I will say that I was a fanboy of his even before that.
I think
Before it was cool.
his
Before it
town,
was cool.
the town interlude in Words of Radiance is one of, like, sure, there's some funny parts, but it's one of the creepiest things that you'll read. Like,
I would say it's one of the most heartbreaking.
well, it's
Not
Because, like,
mutually
I didn't really
exclusive.
get creeped out by it.
I don't know. I like the whole how long it had been.
At the end,
Like,
yep.
it's really cool.
I think it's kind of horrifying, just like to realize like where he's at. Like
yeah.
you're seeing
It's
from
just
his
like-
eyes, and you're just like, this is the kind of shape he's in. Like,
Yeah, like, I identify that more as heartbreaking, but
Yeah.
you might feel differently.
I thought it was a good depiction of what I would imagine insanity feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or one flavor of insanity.
Sure, yeah.
And he's the bearer of agonies, as the Stormfather says. And 4,500 years of all those fees torturing him.
yeah, which is interesting to me because like they call him the bearer of agonies in the modern day, and so did that predate him like getting left behind, or did that somehow work its way into the parlance that they were using?
I think it must have, like, I don't think it's likely that he was known by that moniker before the last desolation.
Yeah. It's like, I think the fact that, like, he's the only one that died in the last desolation is known, and that somehow mutated into the bearer of that. Because he's also the namesake for Talon's Scar.
I could see that, I guess, since they talk about one of Talon's many last stands, so they know that they could die and be reborn. They still remember that. Okay.
It's an interesting point. I did kind of forget that fate in Way of Kings. They just say, yeah, he's the bearer of agonies. Like, oh, okay. That's
Little foreshadow.
known. Yeah.
And like it could be totally unrelated and foreshadowing, like he just picked up that name somehow in theology.
No, I mean, not really foreshadow. Like, we know he's the only one died on, like, page 2.
Well,
but like just to like kind of hint at what he's been going through a little bit and like keep that in people. I don't know.
Yeah.
People in the 1,000-page books forget things that happen in the first page between then and
especially when it's like, what's a herald? I don't know what the hell's going on when you read the prelude.
yeah, that prelude is not the most clear thing on the first read through.
No. It's not even. It's pretty vague if you read that again in many respects, but it has to be vague. Yeah. So Town's best. He was so happy that they had 4,500 years to rebuild. That's great. And Ash is just heartbroken. That is heartbreaking right there. And Ash is
easily one of my favorite scenes in the book, actually.
Oh yeah. Even though Ash and Town did absolutely nothing in that battle. But you know what? Whatever. They're just like, hey, we appeared.
I like how they walked up and then we're like, okay, guys. Like,
now we're going to go get some tea. See you later.
I mean, they got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, well, and didn't Town like have a freak out as soon as the fighting started and like was cowering and hiding? Like, I'm pretty sure that happened.
Yeah.
Was it?
So I'm pretty sure Shalash was just taking care of him while that was happening.
Probably.
But do we feel like he's in a better spot at the end of Oathbringer than he was, or no?
Probably not.
I think so.
So I feel like he's supposed to get better because by the time we get to the back 5, like he needs to be a functional character. I don't think he's going to be just flashbacks.
Sure.
Agreed.
Yeah. We'll see him be active.
With him, it feels like he's got lucid moments and he's got insane moments, and the insane moments are just not getting any better. It's just, it's what it is.
Well, I think that him being with someone who loves him is better than being with someone who wants to use him, which is what Amaram wanted to do.
Well, sure.
He's definitely in better hands.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. See, it worried me that he stopped doing his little Herald mantra after it was all said and done and went quiet. Like that seemed ominous to me. Like he'd forgotten, like he'd lost something.
Well, I see that more as like he doesn't need to do it anymore. Like he knows that like humanity
maybe
isn't okay, but like they had an opportunity.
They know the desolation is here. They don't have to warn them anymore.
Yeah, the desolation is here. Yeah, it's like, hey, we're warning. The desolation's coming. It's like, no, yeah, we know. Got that covered.
Like that's Odium right there, and he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he's not stuck in that moment of time anymore.
I thought he was still doing that when he was talking to Shalash for a little bit before he snapped out of it. Like she was talking to him.
Snapped out of it.
Yeah, I think it was before. Then he snapped out of it, and then he fell silent. I rewrote the whole Town article, so I'm pretty confident on this, but I can look it up. But I think I'm pretty sure she mentions when they're waiting in line for the Oath Gate that he's fallen silent.
Who knows how his head works?
Let's see. The last glimmers of his lucidity had faded. That's not what I'm looking for. I could be misremembering. Either way.
It's interesting that Ash thinks, Ishar will know what to do with this.
Yeah, that's alarming.
It just reminds me of, like, in the Wheel of Time, like, each of the 3, like, main guys think, I don't understand women, but the other 2 do.
God, I hate that so much.
No, none of you understand women. Like, no.
Yeah, I'm glad that he's been intercepted, because I don't know bringing him to Ishar would have done anything to make him any better.
Oh, no.
I don't know what would have happened, but it would have been bad.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about Ishar?
Yeah, that's a great lead-in right there.
So, I love what we learn about Ishar, because in book 1, we hear about a dude named Tezim, who is the God King of Tukar, and we know nothing about that, and I was like, Tezim's gonna be important. And guess what? Tezim was important.
God Priest, actually, I think is what it is.
God Priest, sorry. God King. Look, there's lots of God King and God... What?
You want one of those triangles where it's like big 2?
Lord, ruler, one of those.
The Lord King.
Yeah, the Lord King.
That's Aether, no.
Is that really?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. That would be really funny if yeah, anyway. So we then learn in Oathbringer that Ishar is Tezim and is not great, let's say. So Navani is reading a thing from Tezim. A warning, Navani read, from Tezim the Great, last and first man, herald of heralds and bearer of the oath pact. His grandness, immortality, and power be praised. Lift up your heads and hear, men of the east, of your God's proclamation. None are radiant but him. His fury is ignited by your pitiful claims, and your unlawful capture of his holy city is an act of rebellion, depravity, and wickedness. Open your gates, men of the east, to his righteous soldiers, and deliver unto him your spoils. Renounce your foolish claims and swear yourselves to him. The judgment of the final storm has come to destroy all men, and only his path will lead to deliverance. He deigns to send you this single mandate and will not speak it again. Even this is far above what your carnal natures deserve.
And there's actually one more thing I think we should read from Oathbringer, chapter 64. This is the Stormfather to Dalinar. Yours is the power Ishar once held. Before he was Herald of Luck, they called him Binder of Gods. He was the founder of the Oath Pact. No Radiant is capable of more than you. Yours is the power of connection, of joining men and worlds, minds, and souls. Your surges are the greatest of all, though they will be impotent if you seek to wield them from your battle.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say though, that letter must have been so much fun to write for Brandon. It is just such a funny passage.
So Ishar sounds real nice. That sounds great.
Very swell.
He sounds swell. Interesting that he's like talking about the final storm.
Mm-hmm.
And also the whole plan for Nail to murder Radiance was Ishar's plan. That was Ishar's plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gah!
Here's one of my problems with Ishar is that he seems awfully ineffective. He has been the god priest of Tukar for however long, 6 years maybe longer.
Mm-hmm.
He's struggling in a war that Tukar has been struggling with forever.
Mm-hmm.
Hey David, how's Emil doing after that war?
Emil's not doing so hot. Tukar is winning the war, by the way. Before the Voidbringers came to, the Imuli soldiers are not as good, and they are slowly losing to Tukar. But
I will just, bring back to my point from last week's episode that, a herald can't win a war by himself. He is restricted by the ability of his soldiers. And he also doesn't have his honor plate, so...
Right.
So the fact that he hasn't single-handedly won the war is not...
It's not as if all the heralds have done super great for themselves. As far as heralds go, Ishar's doing great. He's god priest. He's winning war. Jezrien, he's just like a crazy drug.
But
so Ishar's doing great.
He was the binder of gods before he was a herald.
Well, before... yeah, that's true.
What does that mean?
Whatever it means, it's not that he was really good at chess.
Yeah.
Also, it's interesting that he was the Herald of Luck.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
Having just written the Fortune article, I'm like, that is interesting.
Yeah, that, he's very much tied to, the spiritual realm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Connection, fortune.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So, what's Ishar's plan here? Do we have any idea at all where he's heading?
Take over the world.
I don't think he's really sane to have a good plan. As far as we know, his plans have not worked out super great with...
I think his plan is become ruler of Roshar and defeat Odium.
See,
that sounds... Yep.
So, but right here, also from chapter 64, when Dalinar asked the Stormfather where the Herald, the Stormfather's I only know where one is. I have seen Ishar. He curses me at night, even as he names himself a god. He seeks death, his own, perhaps that of every man.
Oh, that's true. He wants
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I don't know if he's intending to beat Odium or if he's intending to get Odium to finally kill him. But
I think he's committing suicide, and if he has to bring the entire plan of Roshar along with him, he's gonna. He wants out of this.
Too bad they didn't kill him instead of Jezrien, because he would get stoked.
Jezrien is a little easier to get to.
Yeah. So I don't know if he what his whole thing is, but it's interesting that he's seeking death, not necessarily to beat Odium.
I had forgotten about that.
His own. Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I did not mean to ambush with you. That, by the way, when you read 64 earlier, I thought that was what you were going to read, Ian, and it was fine. They're both 4 lines away from each other. But
And Ishar was the guy who made the plan to break the Oath Pact, right?
And
he
found the
was-
Radiance.
And found the Radiance. Like,
And
With the
Yeah.
Radiance, the implication being that, well, we know there were Surge Binders before.
yeah, he
And-
was the one that thrust organization upon them.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's what I
Or
was
he
gonna
would
say.
destroy them all.
oh man,
Yeah, he definitely seems like, I would say, like, especially with Jezrien dead, probably the most important herald / interesting,
Yeah.
like, in the history of Rashar.
well, except like Town, but
Yeah, but I mean, like, at least on, like, who's been on Rashar, like, he's been, I don't know, and like, Town did a lot, but I'd say, like, he's got some pretty significant things founding both the Oath Pact and the Knights Radiant.
well, wait. Did he found the Oath Pact?
They call him founder of the Oath Pact.
Yeah, the thing
Oh,
I just read, he was the
Mhm.
founder of the Oath
Oh
Pact.
yeah, right. Sorry. Sorry,
Yeah,
you're right.
he says some things there.
Yeah. Yo,
I thought it was referenced earlier, too, but I could be wrong. Maybe I thought it had been referred to before.
I mean, no. That is correct. A lot of things going on.
Yeah.
Creator of Oath Pact, breaker of Oath Pact, person who made the Knights Radiant, basically.
The first and last man.
The first and
Yeah.
last man.
That's a bold claim right there.
Right.
Binder of gods. What does that mean? Is that just like a reference to his creation of the Oath Pact that's like kind of binding honor to some agreement? Like, it's super weird.
Maybe, like, it's very unclear.
It doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't read like that though, does it? When you say binder of gods, you don't usually mean binding men to a god. You usually mean there's a
Binding a
god
god
here,
to
there's a
you.
god there. And you're either binding gods together or binding gods to something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or it's metaphorical and, like, kind of just like a cool title. But yeah.
Yeah.
But if it's real, then I don't know what the hell it's talking about.
I feel like there's a fragment. A lot of these titles, there's a fragment of something there. It warped over time, but there's a fragment of something there on all these, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Bearer of Agonies.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like
Checks
great.
out.
Well, that's crazy, and Ishar's super crazy. Jezrien, I don't know.
Yeah, it
whatever.
would be Jezrien.
Yeah, but Vorens would say Jezrien.
So now
They
I'm
would
just
say Yezriza.
now I'm just stuck on the J's Y though, so I can't say Jezrien. It sounds
Say,
wrong
yeah.
to me.
I always
Yeah.
say Yezrien.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it
let's
is
talk-
originally supposed to
We-
be J.
We wanted to save him for last because, rip Jezrien. Rip.
Yeah.
He did.
So, so he is the drunk that we see in the Way of Kings epilogue, prologue rather. When
Hahu? Ehu? I
Yeah.
think.
it's interesting because that drunk being Jezrien was a popular theory for a long time.
He
before
really
Oathbringer.
was.
That had
Yeah.
no evidence, I thought, supporting it. He was just like,
Yes.
it could be him.
But
He's got dark hair.
before that theory was popular, the theory was that guy was Ishar.
Mm-hmm.
And I always supported that theory. And it was like, oh, it's not Jezrien, it's Ishar. But then we got Oathbringer. I'm like, oh.
Didn't you think that Ishar was Tezem? I think you never posted it, but I remember you telling me about this, so you don't get credit.
So I figured it out after Edge Dancer, and then I got part 1 of Oathbringer, and then things got even more clear. And I was like,
Well,
okay, I
I
can't
mean,
post this
yeah.
anymore. But yeah, I did believe Ishar was Tezem leading up to it, and had a lot of evidence. But
Well, yeah,
R.I.P..
'cause- yeah, but
But
you
it was
don't,
true.
you don't get credit for that one because you didn't
Yeah.
post it. But
I know in my heart.
I remember you said it before Oathbringer came out.
That's why you always
before
post
you
your
got
theories
Oathbringer.
ASAP.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything not written in the forums cannot be trusted.
Yeah, or some Discord searchable. So, yeah, what do we got about Jezrien? And he was killed, and it's very strange, and very interesting how he was killed.
A white gold blade with a
Yep.
sapphire set in the pommel.
That's not ODM's god metal. No.
Oh, and Jezrien, he was the patron of the Windrunners,
Mhm.
He was.
leading, protecting. Okay, great.
A lot of lore seems to also tie him to the Stormfather and the High Storms.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
often in Vorin lands, like, the Stormfather and Jezrien are often conflated.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, like, Kalak and the Stormfather are also confused for each other in Natanatan.
Yeah, it was in Pulley's interlude.
Yeah, that's the one thing about Pulley's interlude is I can never tell, like, if he's just a little nutty or if he's, like, representative of his people, you know? Like, when he's talking about the legends of people coming across the sea, I'm like, is that just you or is that everybody?
Yeah.
But
it's until we get another Natan viewpoint. Who knows?
Yeah.
What about Anok, the ambassador, who's just so prominent?
We don't get a viewpoint from him. So
A tragedy.
Also, in the West, Jezrien was worshipped as the only god in like Makabaki lands.
Yeah.
So I think Jezrien and Ishar, like, if you would name the two most important heralds, if you didn't know about the whole town thing, you would say those two, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that Jezrien was the leader of the heralds, with like Ishar being his primary advisor, right hand, power behind the power.
Mm-hmm.
Or like not scientist, but like that kind of thing.
Like investiture expert.
Yeah,
Grand
I'm
Vizier.
kind of seeing him more as a priest kind of figure. Like
that too.
The physical leader of the heralds and the spiritual leader of the heralds.
Yeah.
I'm leading versus guiding.
Mm-hmm. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he had like a lot of interaction with Honor when Honor was still like kicking it, you know, back before.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We don't think that Ishar was around when Odium showed up in the system, do we?
I think so. I think that all the heralds were.
For the first time? When Odium showed up?
Oh.
When he was bound?
Okay.
I don't know. But like, what, like,
no.
because he was the god of the humans on Ashen for a period of time.
In some respects, that's vague, yes.
Of which Ishar may have been one of.
But like that feels like a really rapid turnaround in which Odium arrives, becomes their god, and then they flee and go to, like, you know, that all sounds like in the span of one human, and then he switches sides to Honor's side, and then they invade Rashar, and then the fuse start happening. Like, that's all very quick for one lifetime.
Depending on how long that lifetime is.
But I don't think he was a herald until
doesn't need to be
until the fuse started.
He could have had other powers. He probably had other powers before he was a herald.
I honestly don't agree with that.
Maybe he could have had other powers, but I don't agree that he's an Ashenite. I don't agree with that. Who fled? I don't agree with that at all. There's no evidence for that.
And I'm assuming like the humans spent some time in Shinovar before they broke their agreement and invaded Rashar.
Yeah, that took a while. Yeah.
We have multiple raffles on whether all the heralds are native to Roshar.
Well, yeah, of
because
course
that's like the whole like humans are actually from Ashen. Like,
yeah, Brandon was. I thought that was Brandon avoiding that question entirely. Like when I asked if there'd ever been a shard on Ashen, and he was like, "Can't tell you."
Okay, sure, maybe.
Yeah, raffles don't.
I'm gonna hold on to that and see if we get something. We can
play this
7.
audio clip in 3 years.
I have no doubt the backstory of the heralds is interesting, but I think Jezrien was a king of some human nation on Roshar. Something like that. You know, not an Ashenite king. Because I think the first desolation, that whole invasion, took a long time.
I don't even know if there have been enough people who made it to Roshar to have conquered Roshar. You know, like how many survivors even were there necessarily? Yeah. Definitely not enough to occupy a whole continent, is my opinion. But, or at least make a significant play for a continent.
How about we reel it back in a little bit and talk about Jezrien's death. So let's talk about that a little bit. So, when Jezrien died, the sapphire pommel started to glow, and Ash immediately felt it, that her father was dead.
Because there is some sort of connection between the heralds. Like, they can share their pain. Like,
absolutely. That makes total sense. Yep.
Jezrien was gone from that.
Yep.
It's interesting realmatically, but it's also not a shocker.
Well, yeah, if they were already connected through the Oath Pact, like if they shared their pain, yeah, that's not surprising at all. And then Ash collapses and falls unconscious. Do you think all the Heralds did that? Fell unconscious?
Possibly.
Possibly.
I could see it going either way because like, that is such a shock.
Yeah.
But like also like that's Shalash's father. So it's like it could have extra impact for her.
True.
Mm-hmm.
I could see it going either way, really.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to tell right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Shalash passed out, so she can't tell us whether Talon passed out.
Mm-hmm. Town at least collapsed. So,
okay, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
What do we think Odium and the Fuse game is with these Heralds, then? Because this is a new development. They've never done this before, and they also needed a human to do it. The Fuse were scared to do this.
That's interesting to me a lot. But
I think that that's more like psychological than magical. It's like that's such a big shift in that conflict that like I could understand them being afraid of that. That like the war has been in one shape for so long, and it's like that's fundamentally changing things. That for immortal beings that are like they are living investiture at this point. It's just like change is scary.
Yeah. The other theory that I heard thrown around about that is that it freaks them a little bit because it reminds them that they too are mortal, and like, you know, they killed one of the other team's people who are like them, but they have the same vulnerability likely.
Oh, that's
true.
That's
which I don't know. I don't necessarily subscribe to that, but it was an idea I had pointed out to me at one point.
I don't think that would be enough to stop them from, you know, accomplishing presumably 10% of their reason for existing.
If they could do that to all the Heralds, they absolutely win. And it's just shocking to me that they wouldn't. I mean, maybe they tried it before, right? But
I don't think so.
Why wouldn't they have?
Because they didn't know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a recent discovery. Because when the sword is plunged into, the dagger is plunged into Jezrien and removed, it leaks a black smoke, which is very reminiscent of
that is
Nightblood.
true. That is true.
So it's like Odium may have figured out how to do this by looking at Nightblood.
I feel like Odium. I believe that Odium as a shard is probably would know a way to kill a herald for real without having to look at Nightblood, because, you know, Vasher and Shashara made that as humans, and he is infinitely more intelligent.
Yes, but like, would it occur to him? Like, yes, he could figure it out. But
I think
like,
so. Because he's like, how do I kill these guys?
Some things are obvious to a shard once a human does it, like with Vin and her spike trick, right? You know, like with the horseshoes, right? Ruin didn't know how to do that until Vin did it. So like a shards could see like, oh yeah, yes, that does make sense, and then
I just feel like that would be something that Odium would be interested in thinking about.
I mean,
like,
that's true. Like get rid of heralds. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, so there is. I have seen the theory thrown around that it was not just Vasher and Shashara. There was Shardic influence in the creation of Nightblood.
Oh yeah, we've said that.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
And so it may be that it was that influence that was missing from Odium's. He was not inspired by human creativity. He was inspired by another shard's action.
Yeah, whatever that extra oomph was in Nightblood.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. And it's possible that Endowment helped create Nightblood to like nudge the conflict, the Roshan conflict, in a certain direction. So
I really want that to be true.
That's a super long game.
I mean, there's obviously a reason why Nightblood is on Roshar.
Yeah.
For sure. But, I mean, I'm down with the idea that it's a recent development. But I'm also down with I mean, I guess humans did fight for Voidbringers, right? And Odium's forces. That wasn't uncommon. So I guess it would have to be a newer thing.
Yeah, like it has to be. Otherwise, it just does not make sense.
Like, subscribe to Honor is Dead, the game has changed. So I don't think it's
Yeah, that's
necessarily
true
a new
too.
development, but like the rules are not as they once were. And there's no one to, like, you know, like if there was an agreement like we talked about, there's no one to enforce that agreement from Honor's side, you know? They can kind of do whatever they want now.
Yeah.
I don't know, that scene, it always felt to me like the Fused just couldn't do
That's
this.
what I felt too. Like there was like they were forbidden to do it in a sense. That was kind of the feeling I got, that but it doesn't. If they were forbidden to do it, they would have gotten some random human to try and do it for millennia, right?
Yeah. It's like, I think it's more of partially a psychological thing. Like, this marks a fundamental change. And also, Odium is grooming Moash for something. So it's like, yes, they're forbidden to do it because because Odium wants Moash to do it.
Okay, that's a perspective. I
Maybe.
wouldn't be surprised if there was some thing that they needed humans to do it, though. That wouldn't surprise me. That was my initial perspective, at least.
I think it was definitely significant that it was Moash who did it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Because I do think Odium is now grooming Moash to be his champion. Because Dalinar
definitely feels like it, yeah.
That was a letdown on Dalinar's part for Odium.
Odium was displeased, let's say. So do we think that Odium's going to do this to all the Heralds?
He's going to try.
Yeah,
Maybe not
he wants to.
Nalon at first.
Oh, I guess that's true, yeah.
It's like he's going to eke out any usefulness of Nalon before killing him.
Yeah. I guess that's my question too then. Does he not know where they all are? Because I don't see why he wouldn't try a more coordinated strike if he had the ability to kill more than one at once.
That's true.
Because now they all know that someone's dead and it's real.
Oh, sure. Like,
Yeah. So if he had few people standing by to stab all the heralds, or at least most of the ones he knew where they were at simultaneously. Like, what does Nale think about this? He just felt that. He's on Odium's side now.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he wasn't just flying somewhere when that happened.
Oh, yeah, that would be bad. Well,
Game over for him.
He wouldn't be. Well, it's not flight; it's lashing. So
He'd just continue to go in that direction.
persist
Yes.
unconscious.
if you're
doesn't-
unconscious.
It's a good
Wake up
question.
over the ocean, just like flying. And he's like, oh
Yeah, like
my god.
he wouldn't
That's a good question.
necessarily like just fall to his death.
Okay, well, not immediately, no.
He might fly directly into a mountain.
That's
but-
there's going to be 2 prologues for book 4. The first one is the usual assassination one. Then there's a bonus one where Nail crashes into the ocean.
And Zeth resurrects him.
No, Lift resurrects him. Easy. With Zeth. Zeth's there too.
Because
Easy.
they're now buddies.
Yeah, they're bros.
Res buddies.
Yeah, it does seem weird why Odium wouldn't Odium know about where all the heralds are? You'd keep tabs on those all the time, right?
not
The
necessarily.
Stormfather doesn't.
Well, the
Yeah.
Stormfather is much less than Odium.
But just like as a piece of context.
Well, he's
It's like
much
he
less.
could see any of them if he knew where to look. That doesn't mean he knows where to look.
I don't know if Odium has that much vision.
Well,
Roshar.
that's true. Yeah, it does kind of depend on is Odium on Braze? Is Odium on Roshar? Like all that crap that we don't really know the specifics of how much he can do on Roshar pre-Everstorm, for example, you know?
Yeah.
Or even during the Everstorm, but outside of,
True.
because that's his
True.
nexus of power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like, wouldn't you want to keep tabs on these 10 people? I
If
feel like
possible.
you would.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
There's
could,
only 10. It's not that bad. It's not like 1,000 people. Like, keeping track of all the ratings? Okay. 10 heralds? Okay, let's do that. Let's make sure they're not going to screw over my overall plan, right?
But like shards can only focus on one thing at a time.
Well,
So it's like
yeah.
he can only watch one
yeah,
at
I mean,
a time.
he can rapidly shift. That's not a problem. I just don't think he was able to.
Yeah. I think it would be easy enough for them to like get out of his like sight and it take him a while to find them again.
Mm-hmm. Is it possible
Sure.
that he would have trouble seeing the heralds because of some sort of inherent thing that they still have that protects them?
Sure.
You know,
Possibly.
because like we know that things can be hidden from Odium's view. Like Earthero had protections against the Unmade and him.
Hoid.
That failed.
And also, if they're playing hide and seek on Braze, like Odium doesn't necessarily just like point at them and say like,
Yeah,
"Yo,
that's
they're
true.
right there."
If he could find them that quickly, if he could
That's
sense them really
true.
easily, that would not have been a long
That
game
would,
of hide and seek.
yeah, we were talking last week about the hide and seek game, yeah, and Odium could presumably talk to the fused on Braze, like that wouldn't,
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
unless
Yo,
there was
they're in
some
that cave over
reason-
there. Yeah.
Yo, yeah, that's true.
Just manifest a giant pointing arrow. Herald's
does-
here.
A
In-
neon sign that says Jezrien.
in that respects, it does seem like Honor would want to protect the heralds and like kind of hide the heralds from Odium's vision in that way. Just like if you didn't, I mean, sure, they'd be pretty obvious on the battlefield, but that's still a tactical advantage for the fused if they know where these, especially pre-radiance. If you know where the 10 heralds are, that is a tactical advantage in
Yeah,
the war,
you're
right?
And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it has to be something Honor did.
Well, I mean, sure, but it would just be easy enough for whatever Honor did to just mix that in there. And
Yeah.
Mhm. Intentional or not, I think they probably had some level of protection from being seen
sure.
easily.
Okay, so speaking of, well, heralds dying, it's related to their bodies. And so we gotta talk. Okay, the segue wasn't great, but we gotta talk about heralds being cognitive shadows and what the crap is going on with their bodies.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think they just manifest new bodies somehow.
Mhm.
Somehow.
Like, the fuse just steal other people's bodies. Like, do the heralds do that? Like, I hope not. That's
I don't
like
feel
really
like Honor would
sketchy
do
and
that. Yeah.
not okay.
I wouldn't
Yes.
want them to. Yeah. Question that I don't remember. When the fused take over a new singer's body, do they look like their old selves or do they not?
They don't.
Well,
Well, at least not immediately.
Their facial features are the body, but
Yeah.
the pattern of like red and white or black changes to
So the
match
skin
them,
pattern is what changes. I
Oh,
couldn't
okay,
remember.
yeah,
Okay,
okay.
interesting.
Okay.
I think.
And
just-
it's also important to bring Kelsier in,
Mm-hmm.
who's also a cognitive shadow stapled to a
Mistborn.
body.
Mistborn spoilers also.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
We said Oathbringer early on. I feel a little
Yeah,
bad. But
Nah, it's
Yeah.
full Cosmere
It's
split.
okay.
And his body presumably looks like he used to back in the day, because
He does have the scars on his.
he does have the
arms.
scars.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
Is that
Here's-
part of the same skin effect, though? But anyway, sorry, Eric.
So I'm just looking at the prelude. And even if they're dead, it seems as if they have bodies in damnation.
That's true.
Like,
That-
this is the line. Kalak felt something with an embrake at the admission. How long had it been? Centuries, perhaps millennia of torture. It was so hard to keep track. Those fires, those hooks, digging into his flesh anew each day, searing the skin off his arm, then burning the fat, then driving to the bone. He could smell it. Almighty, he could smell it.
So does their body go with them when they die?
The thing is, like, with Town, it doesn't feel like that's a new body. It just is like, yeah, Town looks like that, you know?
Mhm.
Right? Like, it doesn't feel like they're generating a new body.
I mean,
It's very strange.
Mhm.
for a long time I thought they were body snatchers
Uh-huh.
because Town looked and sounded like a man from modern day Alethkar when he showed up at the gates of Kholinar.
Mhm.
He
Okay.
looked like a farmer from northern Alethkar, and he sounded not like somebody who hasn't spoken the language in 4 millennia.
Mhm.
Which then becomes a problem because he when he shows up to the war camps, they can't hear him or they can't understand him or whatever. But I thought Heralds show up, they're cognitive shadows, they body snatch.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know, man. It's weird.
Like, maybe, like, Honor's preserving the body too, somehow? I don't know.
Like how shards have bodies that are somewhere and then...
Well, that's true. That is always
true.
a super weird thing.
Yeah.
But I can't read that line and not think you're just, like, pure investiture floating around like Kelsier. Like, that's pretty explicit, right?
Because I thought they were in the cognitive realm of Rays, but the whole thing with the flesh and the bone and the fat,
Yeah.
that's really physical.
Yeah. But at the same time, Kelsier experiences pain because he thinks he should be experiencing pain.
Well, that's
That
true.
was my
Hoyd
thought too.
lays the smackdown on him.
Yeah, but he's not talking about like his fat burning.
But like Ruin
Like,
tears him apart a little bit though. Like remember that towards the end when he gets pissed at him after he's given Vin the shard and like he's almost destroyed and like his body is like pulled apart and then it kind of comes back together. Like I could see them torturing them in the cognitive realm.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
clear.
I'm not confident that it was, but I could see it being a possibility.
It's just the prelude sounds so physical in its
Yeah.
description. Talon in his interlude also talks about fire, by the way.
Yeah. Also, it's interesting that Kalak swears to Almighty, but Ash swore to Aiden Alcium right when Jezrien died. Just, you know, that's fun fact. Kind of interesting.
That was interesting.
But maybe Kalak's, the youngest, right?
Well, also, in the prelude, the Almighty's still alive.
Oh, okay, that's true. That's a good
Like,
point.
why
Okay, but
swear
that's
to
fair.
a
In the prelude,
being that is
Alcium's dead. Like Ed Nelson's dead in both though. So
Oh, that's,
like
that is a good point.
Aiden Alcium's been dead way before. But I don't know. Like, if they have bodies somehow that they're obviously they are cognitive shadows, but that's different from other cognitive shadows in that way, right?
Well,
They do seem
the
a little
Returned
unique.
have bodies. The Returned are cognitive shadows.
Well, okay, that's true.
Mhm.
But
that's a little
that's-
different
that's-
though.
it-
I feel like that's just getting
I-
stuff back in.
well, that's true. I agree with that. It's
Like,
just, hey, you died, and now if somehow you have your body on Braze, then you
It's
return.
weird.
Like, what? I don't know. It's super weird.
I guess the thing that makes the most sense to me is that somehow they generate bodies whenever they world hop.
I don't like this generating bodies business.
No,
This makes
I-
me uncomfortable.
I hate
Yeah.
it. But it's like
if they're tied directly to honor, like a direct line to investiture, like and healing, investiture
Okay.
did healing can like regrow flesh and stuff. Like they could just like draw on honor a surge of investiture and
Okay.
just like throw a body.
Okay, that makes me feel a lot better about that. If that was the case, that would make sense well enough. But it's weird.
I guess, but that makes me think that like they'd be a lot more durable in combat if they've got that ability to just, unless it's like one and
Oh,
done,
that's
that they
true.
could just be like generating
That is true.
new body, or like they're on Braze and they get tortured and they're like, I'm not going to generate a new body because I don't want them to torture me anymore, you know?
Well, you mean you
Well,
still
if they
feel
have
the
any
pain
level of
and,
control.
like,
But like if they like rip you into a skeleton and you're like not growing your flesh back, there's only so much they can do to you at that point.
Well, I don't think it's necessary. Like once you have a body, I don't think it's a conscious decision to regrow. Like it's just like it just happens.
yeah,
I don't know.
probably.
I want to know more about this. There's so much more to Heralds, even though we got so much of it. Good thing we have 7 more books.
At least.
In
There's
30 more years.
one last thing we got to talk about, and that is Yasna's plan. And really, this kind of connects to how do we stop the Fused from just reincarnating instantly? Because that's bad. And I don't know about you guys. I would rate Yasna's plan at the end of Oathbringer to be not great.
Her plan is
not-
just
not
to
great
kill
out
all
of-
the heralds. Which, yes,
Yeah.
that's a horrible plan.
And also to try and get like one willing to go to damnation. That's also a part of her plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
Or she wants to kill them so she can send them back.
oh, sure, right, yeah,
Mhm.
right.
And then when people are like, "Hey, that's a little, we're not okay with this," she's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, well, maybe we just send one back to buy time."
Yeah. For the record, like, she wants to temporarily kill them the way they've died before, not
Right.
permanently kill them like Jezrien.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jezrien's death is very special.
She's not that mean. Maybe she's
So-
meaner. I don't know.
I know Eric has asked this question and it's been rafoed, but does Nightblood permanently kill the fused?
Right.
Because that I could see just permanently kill all the fused and the Heralds too. Just like put an end to the past, let the singers and humans of today come to an agreement.
That's a lot of executions, man.
Yeah, I know. That's a lot with one sword is the only thing.
Well, it's like, it's not just one sword because they designed something to kill Jezrien. Like, it's figure-outable.
Mm-hmm. But like, are they going to make multiple Nightbloods then, I guess? Is that the end game? Is they going to make a bunch of
Not
Nightbloods?
necessarily like Nightbloods, but more of the Jezrien stabbing knives.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like Vivenna's blade probably doesn't destroy them permanently.
No, definitely
Yeah.
not. Well,
So-
that depends on shard. It does depend on shard blades, but no, shard blades wouldn't because
Yeah.
you killed plenty of fuse with shard blades. That
Oh,
happens
yeah,
all the
yeah.
freaking
There'd be
time.
a lot fewer now. Yeah.
Yeah, that would always happen. I just don't. Even if Yasna killed the heralds in the usual killing sense, I don't even know if that'd help.
It would not. Like, they would just immediately break and peace out.
Well, would them dying even seal any of the fused on Braze
With the Everstorm active.
with the Everstorm?
I think it would temporarily.
I don't know.
Because, like, it's like, it would be like defibrillating the Oath Pact briefly. Like, it would, like, re-engage, but, like, unless they, like, actively sought to uphold it, like, it would immediately, like, wither
That's
away
true.
again.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they can buy some time.
Yeah.
I think that's a possibility. Like even a couple of years, right? That would
Man,
go a
wouldn't
long way.
that be a bummer if that's the time jump from book 5 to 6 that a herald's just like, yeah, I'll give you guys 30 years, you know?
Yeah.
Man.
And
could
I
be
mean,
pretty
it's
dramatic
going to be
and cool,
Talon.
but-
Like, the others are not going to be able
Well,
to last
yeah,
that
of
long.
course.
Oh, is
course.
Talon going to go back?
I don't think he's in a position where he could.
At the end of
Well,
book
yeah.
5, though,
At
Yeah.
the
and
end of
Talon's in a
book
different
5,
position,
maybe.
will Talon choose to go back? Because,
Yeah.
that feels correct to me, just like on a gut level, but
But somehow I want things to be really bad at the end of book 5, you know? Like,
yeah. I think things are, that's definitely the sense I
Yeah,
get.
right.
Well, Talon going back to be tortured is not necessarily like a cheery thing.
Or,
But-
like, Taln and, like, Ash going back together to just, like,
And she doesn't leave him this time.
yeah.
Oh. The weird thing is that, like, that feels like a big character arc moment, and we're not going to get the character arcs till back 5, you know? So, like, eh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they will be, like, minor characters. Like,
Well, yeah.
so it's like, I could see them having a character arc.
Well, sure.
I get where you're coming from, though, Eric, though. That feels like a really significant character arc they might not, as minor characters, have in the front 5.
Right.
Also a good point.
So, okay, so are we thinking that if heralds go back, if they really wanted to, they could in fact stop Fused from reincarnating?
Yes. 100%.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think that it would require, like, the Heralds all buying back in and, like, getting their blades and going back, not, like, sending one back to try to, like, drag it on. Like, they would have to choose to go back to reestablish the Oath Pact. It feels
No.
important that it's not broken. Yeah,
No,
that it's
I
just
don't-
weakened.
I don't agree with that. To me, it seems like one going back would be effective, like functionally the same as 10 going back. Well, 9,
True.
except it's just like you don't have enough manpower if you only send one. So much higher chance for that one to give up much more quickly.
But also, the more people go back, it's like the harder it is to hide.
Well, let's go back to
Like,
the thing.
It's
yeah.
Assuming they're together, but I mean, like, I still think hide and seek on a whole planet. So, like, I don't think it's that much harder to hide.
But I mean, the Stormfather did say the Fuse don't go back to damnation,
Mhm.
right?
That's my
I
biggest
think there
hesitation.
is an argument to say that if the Fuse never even return to Braze, then they're just like maybe like the Everstorm's like catching like their spirits or some
well,
crap.
I
don't
think
know.
that's because the Oath Pact is weakened. But if they go
Okay,
back, the
sure.
Oath Pact would not be weakened anymore.
I could definitely see it go either way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the Everstorm almost exists a little bit outside of the Oath Pact.
Well, yeah.
It does. So it's not necessarily bound by the same rules.
Well, yeah, and it's like, maybe the Everstorm can only occur because the Oath Pact is so weak and crappy, right?
But now that it has occurred, it's
Well, yeah, maybe you can't put the cat back in the box.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's
not looking
also
good.
there's another theory that basically goes like this. I don't necessarily ascribe to this theory, but it's that, man, having 10 people do this forever was a bad plan, Honor.
Yes.
And so there's this idea of maybe Radiance replacing Heralds in the matter of the Oath Pact.
I could see that as a temporary thing, but that isn't just not as sustainable. Like, eternity is a long time.
Yeah.
That
You'd-
they need to find a better solution.
I guess the scale I'm thinking of, I don't like that idea. Okay, I'm not gonna talk about it.
Okay.
The scale I'm thinking of is, well, you've got to deal with odium.
Well, yeah.
Like, this has to happen. Like, even if you deal with the singers and the fused and the listeners and the Everstorm and all that, you still have odium to deal
Yeah.
with. Like, and it feels like the kind of thing that would need to get resolved in Stormlight. Like, I don't think odium is going to be a space opera Mistborn kind of problem.
I don't think so either.
There's some theories that he's going to escape by or after book 5. I don't like that. I think there's going to be a game-changing moment in there, but I don't think he's going to escape Greater Roshar.
I could see maybe splinters of him surviving or something, or like maybe like a fused or two or an unmade or something, chilling, as they do. But like, I don't think race as odium will continue. I don't
Really?
that-
Okay.
I think that has to be resolved.
Yeah, and
That's
so
what
I'm
it's about.
thinking, okay, what can we do? We can splinter odium. We can replace the vessel, probably after splintering or something. Well, no, not necessarily, but we can replace the vessel.
I would say having anyone take up odium and just odium is not a good idea,
Probably
but
not.
like honor and odium together
True.
would be
Mhm.
better.
It would be
True.
better. Also, giving odium to a brand new vessel would also be a temporary solution.
Yeah.
Like, it would definitely be a solution, at least for the short term.
Mhm.
For Roshar, probably. if
Yeah,
you get
like,
Roshar.
Yeah.
There's the theory that Dalinar is going to reforge honor and take it up, but
Yeah.
he also has a connection to odium,
That's true.
so he could
He
very
does.
easily like take up both of them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just
That's
don't.
Mistborn, though.
Yeah,
Like,
I
that's
know,
the
right?
end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will be very
Yeah.
dissatisfied if it's that easy.
That's
and
true.
probably not like how the series wraps up, if that's the case.
For that reason alone, because it mirrors the ending of the Hero of Ages, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. Me too.
But I have seen some ideas of what odium plus honor would end up being, and like vengeance, I think is a co-shard.
That could just go so wrong.
Yeah, I was like, that might not be better. It might just be like, oh, this is even worse now.
Yeah.
Which would be an interesting twist. Like if that's what it is and they merge and they've got a worse villain. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
You're like, that's something new. But
Yeah. That's true. Well, I think we did a good overview of Heralds, though, this time.
It's a really good thing we split.
yeah.
Right.
Because it's like, man, going through each of the Heralds, that took a long time. Okay, so... All right, guys, so it is time for Who's That Cosmere Character?
Who's that
Cosmere character?
Oh, yeah.
And so this is the game where if you can send in your 5 clues for a Cosmere character, and each clue, everyone will get a guess. And so let's just get into it. Get your pencils out. Clue number 1. This character is married.
Okay.
Also for you, Eric, Hesina.
No, it's not Hesina.
Ham.
Ooh.
No, that's a good one, though.
Alend.
No. Clue 2. This character is in their 50s.
Dalinar?
No.
Oh.
Navani.
No.
Sadias.
No. It's a good one, too, though.
I was trying so hard to move away from Roshar, and we're just back there.
The 50s thing really narrowed it down. I'm like, oh, well.
The amount of characters on Roshar is just like a big gravitational pull in this game show, you know?
Yeah.
Clue number 3. This character looks young for their age.
Yalai?
No.
Okay.
50s, looks young.
Oh. I know it.
Uh-huh.
That's good, because I don't.
I already gave my guess, though.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
What do you got, David?
Well, I'm trying to think now. 50s, married, look young for their age. See, whenever it says look young for their age, I always think, boy, but that makes no sense. So he's not in his
He's in his
50s.
He skipped a lot of time.
50,000, yeah. But
50,000. That's
Yeah.
true.
I have no guess.
Okay. Ian, what's your guess?
Susavron?
Yeah, it is Susabron.
Oh.
Which I completely
Okay.
forgot that he's in his 50s.
He is in his 50s. That is good.
Yeah.
Technically,
That's
I
a good
didn't
one.
get a guess, but that's okay.
Oh.
You didn't have a guess.
What?
You said you didn't have a guess.
No. Never mind. I was actually thinking of Warbreaker, and I specifically was like, hey, there's nobody married on that world except for Susabron and Ciri, but Susabron is in like his 20s, so
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
yeah,
guess
yeah.
that.
No,
Yeah.
he's in his 50s.
Yep.
The last 2 clues are they're also very naive for their age. And the last clue is this character learns to read.
Well,
The giveaway.
so
Hey, that could have been. That
Dalinar,
almost could have been Dalinar.
right?
It really almost could have been. This character is very naive for their age. I
Yeah.
guess in some respects, Dalinar can be an idiot, but I would not rate him naive.
Oh yes,
He-
my
he
good
didn't-
friend Daravangian, I will trust you.
Well, okay.
Again.
And my good
In
friend
some
Sidious.
respects.
And my good friend Amaram.
Okay.
And like,
all right,
has
you guys
forgotten
got
he's a
point.
mass murderer. You know, like he's a little naive about his past.
Okay,
He's got rough patches.
it's a little different than Susabron, though.
Yeah,
But,
Susan Brown fits better.
Thank you for that. I don't know who sent this one, but thank you for sending it in regardless. Send your Who's That Cosmere characters to who's that Cosmere character at gmail.com. It'll be in the description. You can find us on 17shard.com. You can find us on the Discord, also link in the description. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, and you can always leave us a review and rating on iTunes. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Farewell.
Bye.
Caw.